Welcome. My name is Opubo Benebo. An aspiration of operating a subsistence farm is the harvest of high productivity for assured feed, but also with the goal to plant and harvest healthful crops. So not only to do with feed, but also remain healthy from the food. The farming activity, of course, is necessarily constrained by the selection from among the crops that had been chosen as the essential crops. And the choice of the next crop is bitter leaf, which has the capacity to clear the human system of some parasitic infections. The cleansing of the body of parasitic infections on a priority is preferred as to first keep the body healthy rapidly and then improve on the healthfulness with the planting, harvesting, and consuming of the other essential crops as may be guided by rational sequencing of the available food for consumption. In synopsis then, this episode entitled Planting Essential Crops Bitter Leaf offers a didactic guide to planting of bitter leaf, the approach to planting bitter leaf to have bountiful harvest, and general implementation of the bitter leaf specific farming process automation control. The driver rationale guiding farming the essential crop of bitter leaf is to ensure stable growth with the aim for near uniformity of growth maturity stage as to enable same time or convergent harvesting. In effect, at harvesting, all the plants will be at near the same maturity, so harvesting could be performed across all the plants at the same time and for repeats accordingly. Therefore, the approach will start with the planting of actual seeds and then taking stocks of the young plant to replant for seeding the next set of plants. If carefully planned, all the plants should be of near the same size at all times and therefore support same time harvesting as per the objective. Moreover, such convergent maturity growth of the plants, even though planted at different times, will certainly permit consistent on-demand harvesting without the over-harvesting of one plant over any of the others, and therefore always support bountiful harvesting. The need to start with actual seeds, however, is also forced by the regionalism of bitter leaf, coupled with immigration restrictions of crossing national boundaries with live or still wet cells of organisms. So the form of the bitter leaf that can be allowed to cross national boundaries is the dried seed, hence the choice for initiation of the planting process with the seed. Worthy of particular interest in planting bitter leaf is recognition that it is of the kingdom of daisies and as such exhibits elements of heliotropism. Then, of course, there should be emplaced mechanism to limit the tendency of exhibiting heliotropism. While in this case it may not have adverse effect, heliotropism has the potential of causing cross-pollination and infections during the life of the farm. Therefore, there is the need to avoid, in fact, actually prevent even the mere potential effects of heliotropism on the plant stem and biology within the farm. As such, the occurrence, no matter how slight, of heliotropism, as can be easier detected with the first young sibling, must be noted and planned to be limited. The planting approach being consistent with the plan of seed planting first, followed with repeated stock planting for uniform growth and hence all plants ready at the same time or convergent harvesting, directs the planting process presentation to start off with the seed planting. Certain common practices, however, applies. The bitter leaf plant, being endemic of tropical Africa, grows well in temperatures between 20 degrees centigrade to 30 degrees centigrade, or 68 degrees Fahrenheit to 86 degrees Fahrenheit for optimal growth. So irrespective of the region of the world, it is best to consider planting bitter leaf when the temperature is moderately high, say 77 degrees Fahrenheit, but generally stay clear of extreme heat or cold. Also, because the branches can spread out quite a bit, it's better to space the planting points at about 2 feet apart. This spacing allows for adequate ventilation and widespread growth of the branches without mutual adverse interactive stunting of growth and airflow interruption, thereby reducing the risk of diseases. As always, first task is the preparation of the soil of the target ridge on which to plant the bitter leaf, which starts off with the biofertilizing of the ridge soil. To boot, towards one end of the target ridge, a 2 inches diameter by 1 inch deep hole is scooped and then refilled with another scoop of biofertilizers. The biofertilizers filled hole and the surrounding are watered and let sit overnight. So most of the water drains down and the soil is somewhat dry yet sort of humid, such that the biologics of the biofertilizers are encapsulated with water matter, but with the interspaces or pores between the soil actually dry. This outcome actually obtains even though counterintuitive, and I have actually authored a whole book on the subject eliciting the complex analysis involved in the diffusion of nutrients to biologics through the surface water skin, being so termed because apparently water takes on a different form of matter in that circumstance. In any case, this state of wetness is the object in this circumstance to be established. The following day, say 24 hours later, planting of the seed becomes the object of all the attention. And very simply, at the center of the biofertilizer refilled hole, with a stick about the size of a chopstick, a hole is opened up with the stick pushed down about 1/4 inches into the soil. And then into the hole are dropped in 3 seeds of the bitter leaf. And then the surface is dusted over yet again with more biofertilizers, but no more watering, because bitter leaf growth is usually better on dry land, but mostly moist soil, while requiring lots of sunlight. The seeds are then left for 3 days, when the seeds should have germinated and should bend towards the direction of the morning sunlight, showing the phototropism component of its behavior. The stems and the leaves should perceptibly follow the path of the sun in the sky in heliotropism, as is characteristic of the family of daisies. The plant and soil are then very lightly watered, and with that, the implementation of the crop-specific farming process automatic control mechanism is initiated. As a biology subject, mere observation data are used to guide the elicitation of the process. The daily growth in inches versus extent of watering of previous day is monitored and plotted into a curve to evaluate the degree of wetness versus growth analysis, and the degree of wetness supporting the most growth observation is adopted for implementing the PLC programming for the crop-specific farming process automation, and hence the process automation. After about 2 weeks, then it's time to consider planting the next bitter leaf, but this time from the stalk or stem of the existing plant, and the plant should be about 1 foot in height at this time and still growing to the usual 6 feet height. The process of planting with the stalk takes a certain care. First, the locale of planting has to be prepared as always, and at about 1.5 foot distance, preferably 2 feet distance from the young seedling. A hole about 3 inches in diameter by 4 inches is dug or scooped out and then refilled as before with biofertilizers and again watered overnight. The following day, say 24 hours later as before, at the center of the 3-inch diameter biofertilizer field, a fresh 2-inch diameter by 3 inches deep hole is scooped out. Then about the top 6 inches of the seedling is cut off at a 30-degree slant for planting the next bitter leaf plant. The leaves of the cutoff are removed to reduce discharge of water being sucked in from the ground, while making sure to let any branches remain, and then insert the stalk centrally into the hole, but ensuring that a few, say 3 of the nodes, are well buried or sinking below the surface of the earth, if necessary, by pushing in deeper to accomplish that. The biofertilizer scooped out while making the hole for planting the stem is piled back into and around the space about the stem, and more biofertilizer piled about the sunken stalk to form a little bit of a heap about the stem above the surface. And then again, the plant is left alone for 3 days. Now, there will be 2 6-inch bitter leaf plants, but being from the same stock, both are acclimated to the quality of the biofertilizers as well as the crop-specific farming process automation dynamics. So the implementation of the farming process automation mechanism to cover the new stock plan is accomplished by simply extending the adjustment of the settings of the valves through which the new plant is watered. Even so, there is the need to watch for slight variant dynamic and then to react quickly, although such should be uncommon. Optionally, the stock replanting process may be repeated after the plants grow up to another 1 foot each. At this time, both plants should have grown to the height of 1 foot, yet again and again take 6 inches stock from each for growing the next 2 plants. Generally, harvesting of the leaves is possible after about 3 weeks, but better to let the plants age for a little longer, and with the stem turning sort of brownish. The more brownish, the more matured and ready for harvesting. Advisedly, the harvesting should be performed by taking about equal quantities of leaves from each plant, which is the convergent harvesting that was aimed for at the onset. While this approach supports a sort of harvesting load balancing, there is nothing that precludes harvesting by the bobbing approach of harvesting one plant exclusively at each harvesting period, and then the next plant, and so on, in a rotating harvesting schedule or program. The conclusion that could now be drawn from here is that structured farming of the bitter leaf of the essential crop chosen for subsistence farming can be performed anywhere in the world, although the plant is natively tropical Africa, and effectively also be available to all citizens in the world, such that parasitic infections may be limited somewhat. And at this time, it's a wrap. And on that note, I say to you, thank you so much for having come to listen to this observation about efforts aimed at alleviating world hunger through subsistence farming by both urban dweller farmers and emerging countries' small farm farmers. You are truly appreciated, and if you would like to get privileged viewer, reader information, or access podcasts of specialized contents, or even vertically integrated concepts, then I implore you to join my supporter club and enjoy that privilege status. Thank you. Moreover, while still here, do please take a moment and subscribe to the channel as to be informed of the publication of every new episode as soon as it is released. Bye. Till next episode.